there, my name is Alex Medved and I'm the National Sales Manager for Interpath, the makers of Foresight, and Technical Manager. So welcome to the Central Pet Summer Trade Night. Hopefully you're going to learn a little bit more about Foresight products and be able to recommend and sell the product with confidence. So what we're going to go over today is Foresight Canine Granules, Foresight Epitalis for Horse, and a little bit on the Foresight Equine Granules. We'll just jump in very quickly to the introduction to Interpath Global, the makers of Foresight. So we are a joint health company very focused on evidence-based research. So there are, as you would know, there are a huge amount of joint products available on the marketplace. Great for the consumer, lots to choose from, but not all of them have a significant amount of research. So our focus has been based on dogs, horses, cats, and recently humans. And we are a local company based in regional Victoria. Our head office is in Ballarat. And despite that, we sell globally. So we are available in the US, UK, Hong Kong, Ireland, Denmark, and New Zealand. So we are family owned. Our owners developed a product that you'll probably be very, very familiar with, a product called Sasha's Blend. So this is Sasha here. Sasha was their family pet that in the mid-90s started to show some symptoms of joint pain. And Dan and Karina Bright, who started the company and still own the company, pioneered the way in the research around using marine-based ingredients. So they literally developed this product on their kitchen bench for Sasha, and then started doing their own research and clinical trials around the product. And we could see in those early days, Sasha's joint pain started to disappear. And so not wanting to keep it a family secret, Sasha's Blend was released to the Australian market in 2000. So it's made in Nelson in New Zealand. This is where the most pure of the marine ingredients come from. And we have a production facility that's GMP, which is Good Manufacturing Practice. And that's essentially an accreditation for producing very high quality products. So since then, we've been very busy. So since 2000, we produced Sasha's Blend. And then through to 2021, where we've produced some of our gel formulations. So some of the products here are still vet recommended only, but this will just give you an idea of how busy we've been. So Sasha's Blend in 2012, we launched our first horse product to the horse market, which was the Foresight Granules. And then another product that you'll be familiar with, and some of you may well be selling already, which is the Foresight Epitalis for horses. And this is a huge product for us. I'm not sure if there's a horse owner that isn't aware of it or isn't using the product, but it's certainly one that anyone who's got sport horses or performance horses, it's part of their daily routine. Foresight Canine Granules. So this was the second generation of the Sasha's Blend. So still using those marine ingredients, but with the addition of Epitalis. And then we moved into the treatment products with dogs and cats. So just a little bit about the category overview. As you will know, we've had a very long history as being a vet and surgeon endorsed product. So that's really uncommon for an OTC or an over-the-counter product. So vets can be quite skeptical with any supplement. They really want to see the validated research. And we've certainly ticked that box hugely. So we were a wholesaler exclusive for around 10 years. Now we're an open seller with the dog granules and horse gel range. And we do have those different formulations, which appeals to slightly different markets. So we have that veterinary channel for the dog gel because that's more of a treatment focus at this point. And then obviously the retail channel for the canine gel because we're really talking more about prevention and treatment of very mild symptoms. So just touching on some arthritis statistics. Arthritis is one of the top 3 most common reasons for elective euthanasia. So it is a very chronic disease. It's very slowly progressing. By the time we see a limpy dog or horse or human, that disease process has been going on within that joint for quite some time. And we would be forgiven for thinking that it's an old dog condition, but it's really a young dog condition as well. So we see that 20% of dogs over the age of 1 show signs of osteoarthritis. And it doesn't just appear, we can start to see those very subtle signs. And there's some key things that, when you see people come into the store, maybe they've got an older dog that's showing a bit of symptoms, or maybe they're asking, about a product that can help their older dog. They're giving you some pretty clear indications that they'd like to have a conversation about osteoarthritis. And then when we do look at dogs over the age of 8, we don't really consider 8 to be that elderly, but 80% of those dogs have osteoarthritis. So we have a really small window of opportunity to reduce either the risk of developing OA or the rate at which it progresses once we've got that problem within the joint. And we all love our dogs and cats, we wish they could live forever, but by getting onto these products early and really engaging with your customers about, prevention's better than cure. Anyone who walks in with a Labrador or a Golden Retriever, really should be thinking about a preventative product like Foresight Canine. So we'll jump into the product itself. And I know what you're probably thinking. You might have had 12 months now of selling this product and having some really engaging conversations with consumers. But the joint health shelves are really busy. It is a bit of a minefield, particularly as a retail store. How on earth do you sort the wheat from the chaff? And there's some things that you can talk to consumers about when they're trying to make a choice about which joint supplement to be purchasing. So some things you can talk to them about is what they need to look at for a joint product. So is there research around the product? There's no point in spending lots of money on a product that doesn't really have any evidence. Is it palatable? So the last thing an owner wants to do is to be wasting money on a product that the animal won't eat, and then also wasting the food as well that they need to throw out. If we're going to be talking preventatively, how affordable is this product? Is it free from challenges from administration? So, for cats, is it a tablet that you need to be stuffing down its throat, or is it a really palatable product that you can just pop on their food? And is it safe for long-term use? So when we're talking preventatively, we want to ensure that these products are safe. And then the final one, does it have peer-reviewed and published research on its actual active? So we have a patented ingredient called Epitalus, which you'll hear me talk a little bit about today. And we have around 9 or 10 peer-reviewed and published research papers. So this is where we conduct our own studies. We present them to other scientists who are the peers. They review the trial just to make sure that it's of good quality. And then we can submit that to be published in medical journals, which we've done. So Foresight Canine ticks all of those boxes. So it really makes your recommendation to your customer base really valuable. So just touching on the product features, so the Foresight Canine Granules is for that preventative side of things or treatment for very mild symptoms. So it has purified Epitalus, which is a patented extract from a plant seed, as well as those 3 marine ingredients, which you're probably familiar with. So we've got New Zealand green-lipped mussel, abalone, and marine cartilage. It's a very small daily volume, so it's 1 scoop per 10 kilos, and 1 scoop only weighs 0.4 of a gram. So sometimes when people see that, the 50-gram pack, and they're like, oh, gee, that's expensive and it mustn't last very long. It's just good to know that, for your average sized dog, 20-kilo dog, it's less than a gram a day. It is very palatable. This one does have a peer-reviewed paper where we actually challenged this, the Foresight Canine Granules against a veterinary pharmaceutical product. And the results with Foresight Canine were that we were non-inferior by day 14. So we'll touch on that study in a minute. This does work a little bit slower than a non-steroidal would, which is what we would expect. So owners can expect to see improvements in around 14 to 28 days in a symptomatic patient. So we'll just jump into some nerdy science. I'll be very quick. I won't get into the weeds too much. But we had 66 dogs in this trial. Half were, so it was blinded, which means the people in the study don't know which dog received which product. and it was randomized. So each dog was just randomly selected to receive either Foresight granules or the non-steroidal. So we did assessments on them at days 0, 14 and 28 in the two groups, and we could compare the results between the groups. So as we expected, the pharmaceuticals, so the non-steroidal product, dogs improved quite quickly, which is, you know, what we want, that's what we expect. But they tended to taper off in terms of their improvements at around the 2-week mark. Whereas what we saw with the Foresight group is they were a little bit slower, not that much though, but they continued to improve. So by day 28, we were almost superior in the measurement outcomes when compared to the non-steroidal. So we're not saying, you know, don't use non-steroidals, but we're just saying, you know, when working together, you really get that nice synergistic effect as well. So what makes Foresight products generally unique? Well, we've done a huge amount of research. So we do research both in the lab, which is in vitro, and that's where we'll test certain hypotheses. We get a positive outcome, then we can move on to, you know, proving it in the living animal. So the patented product, or the active that makes Foresight products so unique, is Epitalis. So no one else in the world has this active ingredient, and it's what really powers our Foresight product range. So as many of you know, we've come from the veterinary side of things. We've had to convince vets with our research, and time again, they would say, look, show us the improvements on x-rays. So we've actually been able to do this. So this is a knee joint of a horse. These horses had a bone chip in the knee joint, and we wanted to compare, you know, how the horses improved over, this was our 70-day study, and we've been able to actually demonstrate the improvements on horses who were fed Epitalis throughout the course of the trial, and those that weren't. So I don't think any of us really need to be a radiographer to appreciate the differences between these two knee joints, but we can see on the left, this is an example of one of the horses that did not receive Foresight Epitalis for the duration of the study. And you can see the yellow arrow is where that bone chip still is and still quite visible. The white arrow, you can see that's the swelling around the joint. So this knee joint's injured. It's the body's own healing mechanism to increase and improve the rate of healing. So you get that swelling. The blue arrow is the one that is a massive highlight for me. So that's, you can see there's like a little bone spur. They're called osteophytes. And these are the little knobby, bony overgrowths that you get when you've got damaged cartilage. And they're really highly associated with chronic elevation within the joint. So inflammation is good, it's normal, but what we don't want is just that chronically elevated concentration of inflammatory chemicals over a really long period of time. So the horses that did not receive Epitalis had significant evidence of osteoarthritis within the joint. The Epitalis treated horses either didn't have any bone spurs, or they were at a much lower grade. So when we added up all of the evidence of osteoarthritis, the Epitalis fed horses were 63% lower. So that was a huge result. So Epitalis is globally patented. It is a potent anti-inflammatory, and it has a unique ability to signal to chondrocytes. So they're the little cells in your cartilage, and they're the cells that when you've got that chronic inflammation, they really struggle to turn over and remain functional, and over time they'll die off. Epitalis has a really interesting signaling mechanism where it just keeps telling the chondrocytes to keep turning over. So all of this, what that means to you is that when you're talking about Foresight, it gives you a lot of confidence when you're recommending it. So if somebody's come into the store, they've got a limpy dog, or they're wanting to be proactive, you can really reach for Foresight and say, look, this one has got a heap of peer-reviewed research. You can really talk to the fact that we've done all the studies. It's not, oh, we think it works, or it might do this. And it is giving you access to the most widely veterinary endorsed joint supplement in the country. And we are constantly seeing, we get emails, we get phone calls of how Foresight is helping people's animals every day. So the ultimate goal when we're helping either at-risk dogs or horses is that we want to slow down the risk of them either developing the disease in the first place, or if they are starting to get a little bit stiff and lame, we want to slow down that rate of disease progression. So when you're going to be recommending the product, it'll either be as that preventative, so it might be the owner of the, the really bouncy young golden retriever that comes in, and they're thinking preventatively, or maybe your larger and giant breeds, or even pups in these young dogs that are growing rapidly. Getting those owners to think preventatively is a huge thing, and especially owners of big dogs. If they haven't had a big dog before, they probably don't realize how expensive medications get because it's dosed by weight. So if we can get them thinking preventatively earlier on in their life, then we're potentially reducing the risk of that dog developing problems later on. And then the treatment of those sort of mild symptoms is going to be probably more common. So owners asking what they can do to support their older dog's joints. They might have noticed that, the dog's slowing down, or he's a little bit stiff in the mornings. So just be aware of owners using those sorts of words, or that kind of commentary, because that's, absolute indication that the dog has got some issues going on. So some people think that the dog slowing down is just a normal part of aging, but it isn't, and it doesn't need to be. So in terms of competitors, there's loads of them, heaps of them, too many to mention by brand. There's products that work slightly differently and in different ways and might have some different benefits. But if you are engaging with a customer that really wanted a product that had the research behind it, then Foresight's going to tick those boxes. So many products may have some research associated with them, but not specific to their active. So there can be variations in bioavailability of a product, where the raw ingredients come from, are they made in a GMP facility. So some common actives may have varying degrees of research, but those that do tend to be the marine-based ingredients, or your omega-3s have a lot of research. But what none of them have is, if we go back to that X-ray, they don't have disease modifying. So where we've been able to slow down the rate at which arthritis progresses, which is what that X-ray showed, that's known as disease modifying. There's only 2 products in the world that do have that validated evidence. One is a pharmaceutical injectable, and then the other one is Epitalis. So moving on to the actual product. So Foresight Canine comes in a plastic coated aluminium resealable bag. The granules look a little bit like peppercorns. There's a dosage scoop included. We still get calls from owners asking how they balance the granules on the end of the teaspoon, but that's the end that you actually hold. We've got 2 pack sizes, a 50 gram and a 100 gram, and the shelf life is 3 years from manufacture date. So they're a very stable product and will last quite some time. So in terms of administration, they can just scoop up the pellets and put straight onto the dog's food. If the dog is symptomatic, we do recommend, a loading period. But even for your big dog, you're looking at around a couple of months worth of treatment, even with your large dog in your 100 gram bag. So jumping onto the horse product, so we'll start with the gel first, because that's probably the most frequently requested product. The equine granules are not so popular, but we'll get into that in a few more slides. So this is a daily feed additive. There's 2 pack sizes. It's a 1 litre and a 250 ml. Comes with a 12 ml syringe, and again, this one also has a shelf life of 3 years from manufacture date. The equine granules, we have 2 pack sizes, a 700 gram and a 3.5 kilo. It has quite a large scoop in it. It's a 21 gram scoop, and that allows for both a loading and maintenance volume. So your maintenance volume will be 10.5 grams. And again, this is also 3 years from manufacture. So one of the common questions is, can I use Foresight equine products in dogs? So Certainly, yes, we support the use of the granule formulation in dogs. We do not recommend at all using Foresight equine, Foresight Erbitalis for gel in dogs. The gel formulation is way more potent for horses, for the horse formulation than it is for dogs. But certainly with the equine granules, that's fine. So the 700 gram tub, we suspect, does go to a lot of dog owners, either dog owners who've got very big dogs or multi-dog households. The only thing to be aware is that the 700 gram tub and the 3.5 kilo, but when we're talking about dogs, the 700 gram tub comes with a horse scoop. So you'll just need to request from your wholesaler a canine scoop for equine granules, and you'll get the scoop that comes with the dog granules, but it'll be a little bit longer. So because we've had to put so much flavouring in the equine granules to mask the fishiness, when you're only using 0.4 of a gram for a dog, that's enough to displace some of those active ingredients. So we recommend an additional granule per 10 kilos of dog weight. And so that longer scoop, which you would need to order, just captures that additional granule. So I hope that all makes sense. Just ask us in the chat if it doesn't. Now moving on to the summary. Well done for lasting this long. So why recommend and sell Foresight? Well, it is a veterinary recommended product. It's got that validated efficacy and safety research. It's very cost effective. It's super palatable, and most of all, it works. And it'll give your retail teams a joint supplement they really believe in. So that's all for me. Thank you very much. And hopefully we'll have a chat to some of you guys in the chat room.